Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 308 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and the first story we should follow up on concerns these Ukrainian strikes on a bomber base deep inside of Russia. This is the second time Ukraine has executed long-range drone strikes on Engels Air Base, located hundreds of miles inside of Russia. This is 610 kilometers from Ukrainian-controlled territory. Now, we haven't gotten any good satellite images of the damage at the airbase. It's been cloudy in Russia, but we can zoom in on Google Satellite View, and I can show you exactly where this airbase is located. It's near the Russian town of Saratov, and this is the airbase right here. You can see the planes parked outside, and what the Ukrainians did is they successfully struck the headquarters building, and they managed to do this the morning of the next round of these cruise missile attacks that Russia was planning to launch. Because they struck the headquarters building, Russia had to call off this next round of attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. And according to a Ukrainian journalist, Vladimir Zolkin, it's reported that the results of this attack, 5 Tu-95 bombers were damaged, a control tower was destroyed, and 43 Russian soldiers were either injured or killed. Now, Russia is publicly only saying that 3 soldiers were injured, but we know that Russia lies about everything, so this 43 number might be accurate. And here's the conspiracy, here's the question: how exactly is Ukraine doing this? I want to read this paragraph for you. I don't think Ukraine is hitting airfields deep inside of Russia with 2 141 drones. However, I'm not above saying that might be the truth. It is hilarious to think that Russia can't detect a 7-ton steel rocket ship from some 1950s sci-fi movie flying over their airspace for more than an hour. To put this in perspective, this would be like Mexico or Canada bombing F.E. Warren Air Force Base or Offutt Air Force Base, and the United States military was incapable of detecting it or preventing it from happening. So potentially more of these strikes in the future might be happening. The next hilarious story you should know about is that Putin presented rings to his fellow CIS leaders during a recent summit. What is the CIS? This stands for the Commonwealth of Independent States. It's a regional intergovernmental organization in Eurasia that was formed after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. Here's a global map showing all of the states that are members of the CIS, and the CIS was the forerunner to the Collective Security Treaty Organization. This is Russia's version of NATO that none of these member states seem to care about anymore. Here's Putin lined up with all the leaders of the CIS member states, and immediately the fact that these fancy gold rings were handed out to all of them by Putin. Ukrainian soldiers already call Russian soldiers orcs from Mordor. That would make Putin the Dark Lord, according to Middle-earth mythology. The fact that there are 9 member states and Putin handed out these gold rings to all the members immediately just spawned a bunch of hilarious memes. Only Lukashenko so far has been willing to put the ring on and be seen in public with it. But here's the joke, here's the expectation. Putin is the new Dark Lord controlling these 9, Nazgul servants. But in reality, Putin is just Gollum, obsessed with power, but in reality, weak and pathetic. And if Putin is actually Gollum, then that would make Frodo Baggins, President Zelenskyy, trying to save Middle-earth from the dark orcs of Mordor. Russia just does it to themselves at this point. The next story is this probe has been opened into the death of a Russian tycoon during an Indian holiday. So, Indian police are investigating the sudden deaths of a wealthy Russian politician who reportedly criticized the war in Ukraine and his traveling companion at a luxury hotel in India. The body of Pavel Antov, 65, was found on Saturday in a pool of blood outside his lodgings in the eastern Odessa region. So here's what's happening. Russians who knew too much about the Kremlin's finances and military secrets are dying. These are members of Putin's old inner circle. Either they've been critical of the war in Ukraine or they've not been supportive enough of Putin. So Pavel Antov was the richest deputy in Russia's Duma, and more than likely he was killed. I don't mention these stories in my update videos. They happen about once a week of a Russian millionaire or Russian oligarch who mysteriously dies. There is a Wikipedia page tracking all of these mysterious deaths, and we can just kind of go through some of these murders. Suicide note found next to the body. Suicide note found next to the body. Wife and 2 sons found dead beside him. Wife and 13-year-old daughter found dead beside him. Hanged from a hangrail. Fell off a cliff while hiking. This could all just be an incredible coincidence, or more than likely, FSB agents have been traveling around the world to take out these Russian businessmen. Some of them are being killed within Russia, but this person was killed in the UK. This person was killed in the United States. This person was killed in China, in France, and now we have a murder in India. So these FSB agents are navigating around the world in order to eliminate Putin's critics or people not being loyal enough to Putin. Here's the joke, here's the meme online that the biggest fear of a Russian oligarch right now is an open window on a 4-story building. And it is worth reminding people that billionaire Roman Abramovich was poisoned at peace talks with the Russians back in March. So Roman, when the war broke out in February, offered to be kind of like an intermediate broker between the West and Russia. He primarily lives in London. And the Russian delegation at the peace talks in Turkey attempted to kill him. They tried to poison him at peace talks. So that's just another reason why Ukraine has no reason to believe anything the Russians say about peace negotiations. Their diplomats are FSB agents attempting to assassinate people. Let's check in with the front lines. Kyiv is claiming that the Kremlin's Bakhmut assault has halted. Artillery shell shortages are the reported reason. Ukrainian forces holding their own in the Bakhmut sector of the Donbas region are being aided by a Russian shell shortage, according to a senior military official. And this isn't just Ukrainian propaganda. There's a video put out by Russian Wagner mercenaries complaining to the Russian military leadership that they don't have any artillery shells. They're not able to do their job on the front lines in Bakhmut.
Начальнику генерального штаба. Ты пидор и черт ебаный. Да больше воевать, у нас нет снарядов. Там парни гибнут за нас. А мы тут сидим, блядь, не помогаем. Нам нужны снаряды, мы хотим разъебать их. Мы тут под Бахмутом против всей украинской армии воюем. Где ты? Помоги нам, наконец. Назвать тебя, блядь, больше нечем, кроме одного слова, это пидор. Когда пацаны гибнут, где вы все?
This video is the result of political infighting amongst the Russians. This war is not going well for Russia. There's plenty of blame to go around. But Prigozhin leads the Wagner group, and he's allowing his soldiers to film and put out videos such as this one, being critical of the general staff of the Russian military. Now, the man in charge of the Russian military is Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. So maybe it's possible that Shoigu and the Russian military is not giving the Wagner group all of the artillery shells and weapons and equipment they need in order to make them look bad. So the Wagner group is putting out videos to make the Russian military look bad. How is a fighting force supposed to win a war when they can't even be on the same page? Let's check in with our favorite Ukrainian Cossack defender. This Ukrainian defender has been vlogging daily from the center of Bakhmut for over 2 weeks now. And in this video, he wants to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Сьогодні 28 грудня 22 року. Уже скоро Новий рік. Але для Бахмута немає ніяких ні свят, ні всього іншого. Тут інше життя, інший плин часу. Але тут теж є життя, і воно не менш цікаве, ніж у вас. Можете нам повірити. Брат Вурдалак, скажи пару слів нашим любим українцям.
Україна, добрий день. Ми тримаємося, Бахмут тримається, все буде добре. Всіх з наступаючим Новим роком. Новогодній буде випуск дуже цікавий.
Bakhmut continues to hold. So with the Russian military struggling to advance, struggling to take anything, what is the central government in Moscow doing in order to support their soldiers on the front line? And explained, why is Russia sending circus performers to Ukraine? Moscow plans to send actors, opera singers, and even circus performers to the front lines in Ukraine in an attempt to boost the morale of its exhausted troops. Okay. Yes, the scheme initially announced by the Russian Ministry of Defense, this was confirmed by the British MOD last weekend, and in a statement the MOD said that the so-called creative brigades are intended to counter the fragile morale amongst Russian troops, which almost certainly continues to be a significant vulnerability across much of the Russian force. So they're sending circus performers to the front lines to cheer up all of the Russian soldiers who have been conscripted and mobilized and forced to fight against their will. More good news for Russian conscripts. Russian mobilized men will be allowed to freeze their sperm for free, and their families will be given quotas for infertility treatment. So they don't have body armor, and they don't have artillery shells, and they don't have modern weapon and equipments, but they will have circus clowns and free sperm bank storage. You can't make this stuff up. Next post I want to share with you comes from Operator Starsky, and this is a screenshot of Vladimir Putin's government website showing the territorial boundaries of the Russian states. And recently, the 4 provinces of Kherson, Zaporizhia, Luhansk, and Donetsk disappeared from the map of the Russian states. So as this war is going poorly for Russia, Russia is already starting to backpedal that, no, they didn't annex those 4 provinces. Those 4 provinces aren't actually part of Russia. That signing ceremony they had 2 or 3 months ago, maybe it never happened. Here is a New Year's message put out by Margarita Simonian. She's the head of RT News. And this is the message for her viewers, her people, that she wants to deliver going into 2023.
Так вот, какие выводы нам этот год сообщает. Вывод первый, печальный. Очень много было вранья. И это надо прекратить. Врать надо перестать. Весь год я об этом стараюсь говорить. Вы не представляете, сколько людей просто на улице подходят и говорят: вот спасибо вам за то, что вы это сказали. А вам спасибо за то, что вы это услышали. И спасибо за то, что вы понимаете, насколько это важно. Врать нужно перестать на всех уровнях. Поскольку Новый год, мы не будем сейчас никого расстраивать, тыкать пальцами. Мы просто попросим: сделайте нам, народу своему, нам такой подарок новогодний. Прекратите врать. Пожалуйста.
So this is the ultimate irony that the editor-in-chief for RT News is begging people in Russia to stop lying, because everyone in the Russian military, from the lowest soldier to the company commander to the general in charge of everything. They're all lying. All they do is lie, because if you tell the truth in Russia, if you tell Putin what he doesn't want to hear, then you might fall out a window. And I actually have something I want to admit to you guys about Margarita Simonyan. For the last 9 or 10 months, watching these Kremlin propaganda clips, I was confusing her with another woman. So this is Margarita Simonyan. She's the editor-in-chief of RT News. And I was actually confusing her with Olga Skrybayeva. She's the host of this debate show on Channel 1 News in Russia. So here's Olga. I'm sure you've seen clips of her talking. She's the host of this show on Channel 1. And this is Margarita. And for the last 9 or 10 months, I can't tell you why, I thought this was the same woman. I thought this was the same woman with maybe wearing too much makeup and then maybe not wearing enough makeup. But I now know that they're two different women. My apologies to any Russian women watching this video. Not all propaganda queens look the same. I can tell the difference now. Let's check in with an average Russian elementary school and how are they celebrating Christmas and the New Year's. Russia is absolutely insane to be having 12 or 13-year-olds marching around an elementary school with automatic weapons. These kids, you'll notice the red caps, they're part of Putin's youth army. Almost all children in Russia now are being indoctrinated at a young age in order to pledge their loyalty to Vladimir Putin. If you're not familiar with this organization, it's called the Young Army Cadets National Movement. Putin started it in October of 2015. This was after he invaded Crimea in 2014 and then knew that he was going to go for all of Ukraine. The goal for Putin has always been to reclaim the territory of the Tsarist Russian Empire from the late 1800s. So Putin wants the Baltics, he wants Moldova, he wants Ukraine. More than likely, he also wants Romania and Poland. And in order to conduct these imperial wars, he knew that he needed to indoctrinate an entire generation of young Russian children to be loyal to him and not question any of his orders. Why are we invading our neighbor? Why are we attacking and bombing peaceful people? So he launched this organization in 2015, waited 8 years for this generation of children to grow up so that they would make the perfect soldiers. And this is no different than what Adolf Hitler did in the 1930s. Putin has literally for the last 10 years just been looking at what Adolf Hitler did and been copying everything. But does Putin not know how the story ends? Does he not know where this is all going for the guy who did all of this to his own people? Thankfully, though, Russia's incompetence and their indoctrination of children doesn't work on everyone. Here's a clip I want to share with you of an 18-year-old Russian man, he's an adult now, who left Russia to go to Ukraine to join the Russian Freedom Legion. These are Russians going to Ukraine to fight for Ukraine. He's got about a 60-second clip here I want to share with you.
Здравствуйте, я самый молодой легионер в своем подразделении, но это не мешает стать мне тем, кем не может стать большинство моих сограждан. Не поддавайтесь кремлевской пропаганде, не идите на преступную войну, не идите на убой. Всей этой УПГ, которая захватила власти в России, наплевать на ваши жизни и жизни ваших близких. А за себя я могу сказать, я сделал свой выбор. Бороться под командованием опытных командиров, которые ценят жизнь каждого легионера, что не свойственно армии моей страны. Я готов бороться за свое будущее и будущее своих близких. А готовы ли вы к этому? Так что у каждого есть свой выбор. Быть стадом и плыть по течению, либо самому распоряжаться своей жизнью и свободой. Слава Украине! Свобода России!
He's a good guy. Final clip I have for you is of a Ukrainian defender coming home to see her family.
Мама.
That's all for this update video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support my channel. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care and be safe.